Hi, welcome to Building SaaS with Python and Django. My name is Matt Lehman, and on this stream we build Django apps. We're going to continue on my journaling app that I've been building. And tonight we're going to work on building out some extra pages that are missing. So a lot of the core of the application is built, ready, usable, but it's missing some of the stuff that should go around it to make it feel like more of an app that people are comfortable with. So that's the plan this evening. You're welcome to ask me anything about Python, Django, or web development. That's why I'm here, also to build the app. But yeah, let's get right into it. So tonight I'm going to focus on some pages that are lighter in functionality, but are there to help build out a quality page and make sure that users will understand that this is not just some toy. It's like a real application that you can use and sign up for, and that'll get us going. So, and also in this process, I think I might do some styling changes. There are some things that I've been thinking about that will get us a step closer to what should be the final look and feel of this site. And if you don't know what site I'm talking about, the site is called JourneyInbox. It's a journaling service that works via email, and it sends out email prompts daily. And users create their journal by replying. And we built all the machinery that receives those replies from SendGrid, which is the email service provider that we use. And it builds up their database. And the cool part about it is every time they send out get a daily prompt email, one of their previous entries will be returned to them as a thing to remind them of what they did in the past. And so by doing that, you build up a really engaging journal, especially as time goes on and you have lots of entries. You get reminded of what you did years ago, perhaps, which is my case. The motivation for building this was I used a similar service that was having some reliability problems and switched all of my journal into this service. So now over 3,000 entries of my own personal journal are added into this. So it represents 10 years worth of work. All right, anyway, that's enough context here. So let's get into the coding because that's the fun part, I think, or a big part of what we're doing that's fun. So I restarted my machine, so I got to get NeoVim going. And then let's talk about which one we want to focus on. So I think we'll start maybe with an about page, but before we do that, let's take a look at the styling change that I was thinking of. I started off with this site, everything being like left aligned and just very simple and minimalist. Hey John, welcome, good to see you back. And maybe the only change I really want to make is instead of having it left aligned, that instead we like center stuff. And that I don't think on a mobile size that's not going to make much difference, but it might just give it a cozier feel and kind of your eyes are used to going to the middle of the page anyway. I'll probably keep for the foreseeable future about the width that we have. So there's no reason for me to see this getting any wider, perhaps. But by moving it to the center, I think it will just give it a feel of like, okay, this is where I should be reading, right? And that will help us keep a simple style, but be more like a letter form. And I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking what's going on here, but that's just where my brain has been going. So let's start by going to our base. I think that's probably the only real thing that we may need to modify is the base itself. And so we've got this container on the base, the main class here. That is, container is what's setting a certain width at various breakpoints. And that width is quite sizable. Like if we inspect this page, you can see that the breakpoint for the container is 1536 on this monitor right at the moment. And that's very generous, but it's intended for a user interface that is quite full of stuff, perhaps. The whole goal of this application is to be very minimal and really be all about handling and responding to email. So we don't need a lot of Chrome here to make that work well. However, I don't think that means that I want to constrain the entire site to something a lot smaller, because I think that would create further problems in the future, perhaps, where I would want a wider page. So I think what we might need to do is on some of these pages that we have, go into them and modify what is expected on those, which may be as simple as adding an MX auto to the size, and we'll see how that works. So let's give an example. We're on the main thing, but we want to go to an index page. Let's start there. and we've got our index page. That this is the authenticated version, which is not present. I want to also get off this page because we're looking at the real website. I'm going to be super confused why no changes are showing up. So let's get the thing started. So we've got the website going. It's running on port 5006. So bring that up, and we'll see what this looks like. Now we're talking about the same template file and change here. So let's come over to the file itself, and in the main area we're setting this currently to a max width of extra large, and we're setting a bottom margin on the overall div. But if we set the MX auto, I think what the effect will that be, because there is already a width set by the container, is that this should put this in the center. Yeah, okay, cool. So that feels right. It's a very simple change, and I don't think we need to make it to a lot of pages to do this. If I was better about this, I might make like one kind of content page that represents most scenarios. We're instead deriving from a base page and filling in the content. I'm okay, it's only a few pages for now. Just modifying that, because again, the future user interface might become, like this page in particular, might become a bunch wider as we add extra features. But it's more of a, what do we need to do for now? And I think you can see there's only a handful of pages, so we can also come in here and do MX auto, and we'll do this for the privacy policy. And I guess to check that one that we just did, let's do localhost 5006 for the index page here. Whoops. Well, this is why we test stuff. That's silly. The sign up button got outside of that. That's no good. So let's come in here and put the button inside of that block. That would have been really kind of embarrassing. And now I guess because we put that inside, we need to put some margin on the bottom here. So let's do, if it was an MB6 up there, it probably needs to be MB6 here to make it feel comfortable. Okay, that looks good. Nice. And then our privacy page is over here. So that's already centered. So nothing to do there. And then finally, the terms page. So those are all the core pages. And then we have just a couple more to modify. So these are emails, so there's nothing to change there. And then our settings page is an easy one to change. So that's going to be, well, you can only see the settings page when you're logged in. So here's the settings page. And we'll do the MX auto here. Cool. This kind of looks a little weird right now, and to me visually, because nothing spans the width of this column. So you're only getting like half of the page, which feels a little strange. But I've been thinking about the settings page, and I think we'll want to tell a better story about how we, I think it'd be a good idea for the settings page to be more descriptive about what each of the things are. Like for instance, when your account is active, there's a way to get to the Stripe dashboard. It makes sense to go ahead and explain that to people. I know I talked last time about using an FAQ to have that as well, to not clutter up this. But as I was rethinking, I was like, why not? I'm not going to have that many settings. It's not going to be like reading a book. It's just be 3 or 4 major settings. Why make people jump around to a bunch of different pages? So that was my thinking through that. So this will be, when we do that, I guess I bring all that up, is that there will be more text here that should help wrap around and fill in the column. Also, we might do some stylistic things to put some boxes around it to differentiate between what is user interface where they need to interact with something versus what is descriptive information. So we'll play with that in some future time. So that's it for settings. Let's see, where else? We have a success page, which really has nothing. That's not even that interesting right now. We can look at it. So this is going to be truly like nothing there. I don't think I want to modify that right now. It's not really hurting anything. And I think that just leaves our main login and sign up pages and stuff. So we've got our login page. Oh shoot, this is not quite the shape that I thought this was in, but that's okay. John, looking at your comment. Yes, I'm still with you. I still plan to do what you're talking about, John, of making a time zone accessible. And I think, I don't remember if you were on stream or not when I mentioned this, but my feeling around it was, that's cool, we should add it, but let's make sure that we have like the rest of the basics in place so that people can, I mean, at the time when we were starting to look into it, you didn't even have any ability to like close your account or do anything like that. So I had this realization that I think was missing features that are pretty vital. But you are correct that would be an excellent feature to be able to have and modify. All right, so let's change this thing to be like wrap this in a div just so we can get the MX auto, and that will give us, and maybe I won't even bother, well, I will. Move all that stuff and move that stuff. So it's a little bit more change than I want here, but that's okay. So we can go to this is the login page. So back to our private tab over here. And the reason I'm bringing up the private browsing is not because I'm paranoid about anything. It's just because it's an easy way to get an unauthenticated viewpoint here. So if I command tilde between Firefox windows here, I'm going between authenticated, which is why you see a settings button, and then the other one is the unauthenticated, which is why you see a login button. So that's just a little trick that I'm doing. If you're like, what's he doing that for? So it's just a shorthand for that. So here's our login page. That's not what I thought it was. Oh, you know what? Because we don't have a width set. So let's do max WXL. Is that it? Okay. That works. This one's a little weird. Okay, let's compare this like School Desk, which is my other app, and the login on that one. That one gets a lot more centralized and feels tighter, because I think this width thing is too strange. And this is a context where I'm not going to have, so like, let's look at this. So again, you saw this column earlier where we have the max width there. But my login is never going to be, okay, it's very unlikely to be more complicated than this. So having that much width is really not necessary. So we can probably get away with putting it down to like a medium, and that's going to center, not perfectly center, but help to centralize that thing, the buttons and stuff in the middle. Let's try medium, see how it looks. Yeah, it kind of brings it a little closer. Still a little funky. We could probably play with that in the future to really polish it. But that's the way to go there. John, welcome. Or John L316, welcome. Okay, couple more things we got going on. We now have our, yeah, this is unfortunate. So the login page and the sign up page were styled very similarly. So we got a little bit of replication here on some stuff. I'm being very, very vague. Sorry, y'all. Move all that stuff in. What just happened there? Nope. That did not do what I intended it to do. I think my tool recognized that I was in the tag. It was thinking of this tag rather than an HTML tag. Okay, so we've got that moved in now. I think though that this will probably need to be XL like the other stuff. So let's take a look. Go back. The sign in page, the way to sign up is this button right here. That's the only access to sign in at the moment. So we can click this, and that does look better to me. It centers it. Okay, I feel good about that, especially because this yellow box wraps all the way over. And if we did, like if here we did the medium version, well, maybe it's not bad actually. So we've got, keep login for both. Yeah, there's a certain symmetry there if it's medium on both. Okay. And this is, I don't need a ton of text here. So this works pretty well. I'm not crazy about the fact that it's wrapping at privacy policy rather than being one line. So what if we change this instead to large? Then we get this, that becomes one line. And then we change login to large as well. And might look a little less optimal, but at least keep the symmetry with sign up. Okay, I like that. And then for the other one where it's the template for sign up closed, we'll just assume that the styling is correct. I don't feel the need to go redo that or verify that. All right, and then finally we have this verification page. We were able to look at this in the past. Oops, sorry, too much jumping around. I don't remember what the page was called. Verify something? No, I don't. Whatever it was, I don't have it. Or maybe it was on the other port, because this was a while ago. Was it confirm email? Yeah. So that's not going to work, but we can go change the port. Okay. Confirm email. That's the one we're looking at here. Yeah. So let's do MX Auto on this. There we go. Cool. So I think that adds a little bit of refinement to the UI. And you know, this stuff shouldn't, like I said, this stuff shouldn't change when we look at the actual mobile stuff. We looked at mobile stuff last time. We fixed up that, so it at least looks okay. It's still, the whole site's going to be simple, and it may always be simple. I may actually never go to some really fancy user interface. I don't know. I don't know that we need to get much more complicated than some very simple text, very clean, crisp text user elements. User interface elements, not user elements. That's weird. So I think that will cover it for making those kind of changes. Let's see what we touched. We touched stuff in account, accounts, and core. And then I think that's everything, because entries is just emails. Whoops. Account. There's nothing in here. These are more emails. We modified all of those, right? All 4 of those. We modified settings and didn't need to bother with success. Okay, now I'm gonna feel dumb now if I don't modify success as well. Like everything else is centered, and if I leave one thing, that's kind of weird. So let's take this and go here, put this on success. And this is the page that you see if you've gone and activated your account with Stripe. So that should just come back to, we should be able to access this pretty easily with, oh, it booted me out. Well, I don't think you need to be authenticated for that. No, okay. Restart that. Okay. What was it? Well, I've mostly been logging into the admin. So let's go localhost admin. And it's Matt at create horse. Okay. Now, viewing the site and then viewing the success page. Okay. Again, this could be better, but at least it's centered like everything else. Okay, so those are those 2 pages. We touched all, well, these were terms and privacy were already centered, and we touched the index pages, and there's nothing there. Okay. That feels pretty good. Let's do update UI to center all pages. Push that up. And as a little brief break before we get into some of the other content pages, let's go and do some pull requests from our automated tools that we've got. So Sentry, I think I talked about Sentry last time, but maybe this was new stuff even since then. So let's take a quick look through the changelog here. These are getting easier because now that we're mostly caught up, the PR is generally including the actual changelog that we need to view. So we can look through this very quickly. And I'm not seeing anything in 220 or 220 that's concerning. Celery, which we're not using. Okay. Django, Sentry cache stuff. All right, I don't really understand what that means. I could go read that product thing if I wanted to, but I don't feel like it. Looks okay. Well, that's one down. Let's go to the next one. All auth. This is a minor release as well. So but we're still, man, you still have too much stuff. All right, so we've got 63.1 and 63.2 is what we need to go from, right? Because we're at 63.0. So it looks like some bug fixes there. And some bug fixes of some kind. Okay, cool. All good. Simple history, bumping up a little bit more here to a minor release. So let's see what they got. New contributors. Great, but also don't care. Made something faster on M2M. That's good. Dependabot, M2M stuff. History. Okay, fine. We're barely using history at all. I think it's just really recording us. It's recording account status changes pretty much, but we're not even using that right now. But I put it in there early so that we'd have it as a historical tool along the way. We've got pre-commit here. That's really not much to worry about. It's doing rough changes, RUFF, the tool. And this is bumping up this, and there's no changes here. Well, let's do it. All right, one more. I don't know why this, well, I guess it's rebasing, it's fine. What's changed in this point release? It's all in this one. So new contributors. So this is all coming from JazzBand, which I like. JazzBand's like a group project, which is cool. I think they need to work on this project to make like these pre-commit auto update things. They are useless for a changelog. I don't know why that minimized. Do not leak a loop to the global namespace. That sounds good. That sounds like a bug fix. Some query string stuff. Okay. And current schema. Okay. Nothing sounds crazy there. Let's merge it. Oh, boo. Come on. Refresh. Still rebasing. All right, guys. I trust this one was, it had the green check before all those other changes happen, and the odds of the database URL package being affected by other things is virtually zero, which is why I'm comfortable merging it. All right, so now that gets us back to like a clean slate here. We've made some little changes and we pulled some requirements. So let's do a quick pip install on those things, get them going, and then we'll talk about which one of these things to tackle. I think the easiest one will probably be, well, they're all kind of, these first two are equally easy, but so let's just do an about page because I know where I want that to live, and we'll start there. Okay, so first things first, we want to do a new URL. I'm going to continue to use this single file. We've got this not structured in a way that allows for, well, okay. I guess the general stuff I can put up here at the top. So let's put our new about page. We'll just call it about. It'll be about and about. Shocking, right? And we'll get that, the best place for me that I can think, it's just a content page, so the most appropriate place I can think of is putting it in the core views. And let's go over here, and then we will take the terms page, put it there, and we'll call it about. The doc string, I don't even know I need a doc string, but the about page. Duh. Okay. So that will get us a template page that we can use. And if we go to the template section, here, instead, I don't want to reuse the terms page or the privacy page because they use a different font weight and stuff like that. So let's just repurpose this base index page. We'll make a new file. We'll call it about.html. Paste all the content and change this to about. And then we'll let's get rid of this. And we're going to do some copy editing on this one. And there's really not much to it. But before we get too far, let's actually be able to look at our page. So let's get the server running and what? Yep. Go back to the browser. And I think we're already logged in now. Yep. Oh, I know. I remember what I was going to do. So we need a way to get to the about page. So I think I want to put it down here with all of these other links. Privacy terms, logout. Now the question I don't know, this should be fine because I think I already styled this. So let's check. Let's put this in, I want to see how it looks on mobile. So mobile is doing this little dance right here. And, you know, I suppose maybe a better way to deal with this would be for this to be like 2 columns or something like that and take more advantage of the real estate. But it's fine. It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect here. Is there, okay, what's going on here? Do you all notice? Are those fonts different sizes? What's happening? Button. All right, so that's 51 by, that's by 20. No. Okay. Show me what's the layout of the actual little box, the terms. 344. It says it's 44, but then the button says it's 20. There's no way that's 20 pixels high. I think it's confused. Something isn't right about it, though. It looks a little bigger to me than this other text, but whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, let's put look, we already have even our space placeholder for the about page. It's not going to be under a core namespace, so we just put it there. And we come back over here and refresh, and looks like I've done some style things differently that we need to modify that I hadn't done at the time. So let's delete everything inside of there and yank all of this stuff and put it in here. Okay, so now we've got about, privacy terms, yada, yada, yada. And it all sits there on a line. Now I'm wondering, with this many items on there, that's looking claustrophobic to me. I think we need to change the spacing between those. Too tight. So let's change it to, let's just start with little minor shifts, because those minor shifts will be duplicated on each side, so we'll have outsized impact. All right, that's better. A little bit of breathing room. Feels good. Okay. So here's our about page, but it has all the old content. So now it's time to actually modify the content here. And should we have... We should have some kind of header. Sammy, thanks for the subscribe there. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. Let's put this right there. And we'll say about. It's not very big, but it's good enough. All right. So time for some little bit of copywriting here. And I always feel a little bit weird about copywriting on stream, because it's writing a bunch of prose. It's not really going over code, but it's part of the experience. And I committed to this project to writing every line of code on here, so you're stuck with me for writing some copy. And copy, that might be a weird term to you if you're not really in that sort of space. It's like a writer's term for prose, essentially. Talking about like marketing copy, or is really a reference to a bunch of words. So we need to add a bunch of words to this about page to make it seem like it has something to say. So let's start with the very beginning. Let's not bury the lead and say JourneyInbox is a home for your digital journal. Okay, and then I might use some of these other bits here, so we'll keep the rest of that stuff for a moment. And I'm going to repeat probably some of what they might find on the index page. There's a future state where you're coming to JourneyInbox for the first time. You're not going to click on the about page. The about page, what purpose does the about page serve? From my point of view, it should do it has a couple of jobs. It should say what the service is again, like repeat a little bit of that. That's important. It should also, if you don't have, and sometimes this is called about us when it's a little bit more about a specific team, but it's a way to say who is building the service to help build confidence in the product itself. This is where, as an individual creator, I want to be able to lean in and say, like, I'm not some faceless corporation. Anybody would be shocked if there was a faceless corporation behind this, because there's not a lot here necessarily. But this is really meant to show that it's an indie developer project, that it's one person who's maintaining this. And that is where hopefully I can help build up some goodwill with people, and also selfishly maybe get some grace from other people, knowing that, like, hey, if you sign up for this service, you're really dealing with one guy. I'm one human, and I have limited capacity to solve every problem. I'll do my best, of course, but that's who I am. That's who you're getting when you sign up with JourneyInbox. So that's something I want to say. But I want to lead with, like, what is the product, so that people very clearly know this is what the product is, and then the who built it is kind of the secondary aspect that builds that confidence. So so we need to say what it does. The service, or maybe we say this service because you're here. This service will or can No, will. Just let's make some assumptions that like somebody wants to sign up. This service will email you a daily prompt. To remind you to write in your journal. The prompt, or no. So the next thing is like, how easy is it? Updating your journal is as easy as responding to the email. Okay, so there's the core like loop. That's the interface people need to internalize, and that's the major part of the service. Now, we need the hook of why. Why is that interesting? Why would you want to do this? This is where we talk about what's in the prompt that makes it cool. So we can change this to your prompt emails. You'll get multiple of them. Will include a random previous entry to, I already used the word remind, to help you recall your past. And then why is that interesting? This is a fun, is it fun? I'm trying to think of how I think about the journal. It helps me it helps me stay journaling because I enjoy getting past entries. I enjoy reading about what did I do in the past. I don't know that fun is the right word though. Let's say delightful. This is a delightful because that's what it is. I'm really like, it warms my heart to be like, oh, here's what I did in the past. It's not always delightful. Like sometimes bad stuff happens. You know, I had a family member pass away like yesterday, or 2 days ago, and you know, that's life. Like it happens. So not every entry is delightful in that sense, but having that reminiscing is the delightful aspect. This is and maybe that's what I use. This is a delightful way to reminisce. Oh man, how do I spell that? Not the best with spelling. Reminisce. I-S-C-E. Ryan, thanks. Yeah, it was one of my aunts. She was a lovely lady. And sadly, she passed very tragically. Killed by a tree. Awful. She was cleaning up after a windstorm. It's really sad. So this is a delightful way to reminisce about your past. No, I already said your past. About your journey through life. All right. So that's like the core. That's what we need to have people see as a way to know what the product is at its fundamentals. And then I think we should have a break because I am going to say a little bit about me again. This is the one I want to get the journaling or the indie creator aspect of this. So I think let's do a break here with another header, and let's do who built this? Is that dumb? I don't know. Who made this? Who made this? Who makes this? It's not. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking that. Who makes this? Okay. JourneyInbox is let's call it what it is. It's a hobby project. I have no delusion that this will become my full-time gig. Built by, and then me. So this is where we can put built by. No. Delete there. Matt Lehman. And then we can have that link, that hyperlink can be if somebody wants to go learn more about me. Okay, so there's our first paragraph. And we'll keep doing these. Change this in a minute. Who makes this? Okay, that's too big on the text. We need this to be smaller now. So let's switch it to large because I want it to be like an H2. There we go. And then I also want to give us more space to separate the sections. More. Just like really space it out. Let's see. Okay. Here's where maybe I should also switch to using a personal voice. So if I continue with just saying Matt Lehman, then I'm kind of stuck saying the rest of the paragraphs as Matt did this, Matt did that. And I don't know that I want to. So I want to say built by, let's switch it to like now it's talking about me. It's a weird thing to be writing an about page to explain to you all my thought process here, but this is what I'm doing. So that way now I can just be like I'm talking to you as the reader of the page. And then I can use my own voice because I just prefer it. I think it comes off as more personal, and it further cements that I'm not some corporate entity. It's like I'm just having a dialogue with you as a person. Okay, so I built JourneyInbox for two main reasons. This is the truth. And then we'll say, whoops, come on, change inside text. There we go. First, the previous online journal that I was using had some reliability problems. And I wanted to control, that sounds weird. I wanted to ensure that I have a service that I can depend upon. If the site is down, there is no one to blame but myself. Okay, maybe that's a little too informal. I don't know. Second, and here's where I can reference what we're doing right here. Second, I am building JourneyInbox as a live coding activity, and building JourneyInbox as a live coding activity on YouTube. And here's where we could probably we can link. Let's go ahead and link to the playlist. So if you want to see how this product is built from scratch, you can check out my playlist on YouTube. This is where we can link to the YouTube stream. Nicholas, welcome. I'm working on an about page for the site because it feels like it was missing that, and it's kind of a way to introduce people to what this product is that I'm making, JourneyInbox. Although, now that I've written these paragraphs, I feel like this space has become too much, especially because there's more content down here than up here. And maybe that's a telling that I should also perhaps write more in the section above. Otherwise, it feels awfully selfish. Okay, so let's go to what's the best way to get to the playlist? No, this is going to be super awkward. Let's go to my studio page, and I think it's under content. Okay, cool. If I can bring this up, I really just wanted the link. I'm going to look at advertisements or something. Okay. Can I just do this without the watch URL? Just want the list. Let's go to. So I don't want a specific video. What? YouTube is not currently available on this device. What the heck? That's weird. That's not what I was thinking would happen. Ah, here we go. Okay, playlist. All right, so let's use that link. Switch out this. And actually now that, so the other thing that we can change is this is no longer Twitter, right? This is, yeah. This is now X, right? They officially changed it, so it's x.com. MB Lehman, that should work. Yeah, cool. Those of you, if you want to message me, I don't do DMs with people unless I know them and follow them, and I don't follow a ton of people. But you're welcome to at message me, and I will try and respond if you have questions. So I want to change that, and then let's also go ahead and change it on here. So x.com. All right, cool. So let's review this quickly. Let's make sure the links work. That would be a good thing. It'd be sad if we have broken links. So that goes to X. This should go to the JourneyInbox playlist. Awesome. And now let's say a little bit more in the About section. So what do we got? JourneyInbox is a home for your digital journal. The service will email you a daily prompt to remind you to write in your journal. To remind you to write. Well, okay, I'm going to trim before we expand. I was saying journal too much. Updating your journal is as easy as responding to the email. JourneyInbox. Will keep track of all of your entries. It's true. Okay. Now, got this part where it's your prompt emails will include a random previous entry to help you recall your past. It's a delightful way to reminisce about your journey through life. Okay. I think that's enough wordsmithing, actually. It's going to be a little shorter. That's fine. Maybe let's switch it back to 8 to keep it a little tighter. It looks reasonable to me. Let's call that one done. All right. So, that's not going to work though. Well, it'll work, but we're going to fail when we run our test suite because we haven't tested this thing. Lacking coverage. So we need to go to the core test views, and what we want to do, this view is going to be work on anything. It doesn't really matter. So we can test. We can just copy this. Whoops. So let's put that here. We've got test about, and then we'll change this from terms to about. And that should be a working test that will make our coverage pass. That's the challenging part of having 100% coverage, is you got to test even stuff that's like super boring. But it's a little descriptor of here's what we expect to be true about this view, which is that anybody should be able to access it. Okay, so what do we have for our change set here? We actually touched quite a few files to get that going. Let's take a quick peek. We've got a test. We've got the view itself. We've got the change to the URLs to plug it in to the overall structure. And then we modified the base template as a place to link to it. And then finally, we did have one change to the index page because I noticed that we needed to refer to x.com rather than twitter.com. Okay, so that should fix that, or should complete that one. And then we can move on to the FAQ page. The FAQ page is, frankly, it's going to be pretty similar, but it's going to be more of content like answering some, well, frequently asked questions, right? So let's see, add an about page, and that fixes, it was like number, what was it, 109, something like that? I was close, 105. All right, cool, we're done with that one. Push it up. So I try to push pretty regularly, so if you want to play along, clone the repository, you can. Again, as part of doing this on stream, this is also to your advantage to, you can play with this code. You can run the same make targets that I run and try and run the tests and all that sort of stuff. So if you want access to this information, this code, to poke around of how is this app built, what is this thing that is live on the internet that's serving real people, how does it work? So you can check that out. Drop the link in the chat there. Okay, so next we RandomZ, you sure can. It is, as the name would imply, it's a journal. It works by sending emails. You should have a bot that really responds to this. It's a good common question, but I'm happy to answer it anyway because I don't have a bot. So for lack of a bot, you get me. And the way it works is by sending out an email every day. So you sign up for the service, and you verify your email, and the service starts sending you emails daily. The daily email is like you respond to it, and you write in what you did that day that you want to record. That's your journal, and your response is what's taken as that's my journal entry for the day, and it stores that in the database. So that's the like utilitarian version of it. The hook part of it, as I was kind of saying in that about page, if you saw any of that, was that every time you get one of these daily prompts that shows up in your inbox, it will grab one of your previous entries randomly and put that in the prompt. So if you have many entries, you get kind of reminded of what you did in the past. I've got I took my entries from a previous service, so I literally have over 3,000 entries in my own account on JourneyInbox. I saw this today, so it pulled me my journal prompt for yesterday. It wasn't actually today. Was from 6 years ago, reminding me of something I did way back then. So it's kind of cool. It's a cool way to build a journal habit, a habit of writing regularly, so that you can get reminded about what you've done in your life. So that's what we're building. Okay, so the next thing I want to build is an FAQ page. And we want the FAQ page because I want to be able to answer some common questions, shocker, and also serve as a bit of documentation. So I think this project, if you get a big enough project, you get a big enough SaaS app, you need like a more dedicated documentation page. In fact, my other project that we've looked at before, and I've done a lot on stream, is the homeschool app. And that sits at the school desk app.app. It's the site for this. And if you go to the help section, there is help documentation. And this is documentation that this is a considerably more complex app in what it's trying to model, which is a homeschool application that my wife uses and some other people as well. So it has to teach you of like, how does this homeschooling app think about certain data concepts and terminology? Because it matters when you're building a homeschool curriculum as a scheduling tool. So that is necessary when you reach a certain amount of complexity with an application. I don't know that JourneyInbox is ever going to get to that level of complexity. So what we can do instead is have an FAQ page that acts as our documentation page and answers the common questions. It can also put people's mind at ease, and it can function as a place to provide easy links to something. So let's say you are like done with the service, you want to be able to get your stuff out, and you didn't notice that there is a settings page. Well, okay, I turned off the server, so hold on. There's a settings page, and on that settings page is an export button. Okay, fine. We can maybe put on the FAQ page of, how do I get my data out? Or is my data locked away? And you can say, no, it's not. Here's your export page. If you're logged in, like link it directly there so people don't have to look. Or tell people like, hey, if you are logged in, we have this export feature that will let you take your content out if that's a concern. So that's a thing that we can do. In fact, I think that might be our first and only FAQ for the site for now. So we'll work towards that end and do exactly that, and have documentation for both logged in and logged out, because I think it makes sense. All right, so where do we need to start? I'll start at the same place I started with the last one. Let's go to the URLs and put in a place that we want to have exist that won't exist yet. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll change about to FAQ globally there for that line. And then we will add to a new core view an FAQ page. These are not complicated pages. These are another template-driven page, so it's going to feel very similar to the last one. But repetition is a path to mastery. So let's now go to the core views file. We'll go to here, and I don't know why that complained at me. We'll create FAQ. We'll change this to frequently asked questions, because that's what it is, and change this to FAQ.html. All right, so now at this point we have our view. We don't have the template yet, so if we went to this page, it's not going to work. The other thing we want to do is go into the base. I think this is another page that I want to have linked in our footer. So we'll do about privacy terms, and then we'll put FAQ after this here. So we can do FAQ, and then we'll change terms to FAQ. That's the lookup of the view name. So that should give us a link that should appear at the bottom. So now we have this new FAQ link. But if we go here, it's going to blow up in our face. It's going to say, what are you talking about? We don't have that template. That's fine. that's anticipated, in fact. So let's go back to our About page. Let's steal all this content, create a new page, FAQ HTML, paste it, and start modifying some stuff in here. So on this particular page, we'll want to do, let's have the FAQ be the title. Whoops. So change inside there. Say maybe we'll do both. Frequently asked questions with FAQ as a parenthetical. And I think what I want to do for these is use header 2 tags for each question, and then build from that. So we can say, what can we say? We want to say, because again, we're trying to get to the answer to the question of, can I get my content out? How do I take my journal out of JourneyInbox? And this is where I want to give people reassurance that they have options. So we'll say, while we're sad to see you go, JourneyInbox. This is where maybe I should lean into using my name again. Which maybe I deserve. Maybe I should have a like who builds this kind of thing. Okay, let's do that. I'm gonna repeat this again. It's like a mini about page of who makes JourneyInbox. And we can link to the about page for this, I think. And that'll be the right. So we'll do paragraph tag here. Let's close it and then say JourneyInbox is built by, well, this is again where I want it to be a little bit personalized. Me, Matt Lehman. You can learn more about me and the product and the service on the About page. Okay, and then that will actually do this About page, and then we want to put in the URL reference here to be about, and delete here. Okay, so I think that'll do it. All right, so now because we have these two questions here, let's do a little bit of spacing. MB. Let's do like MB8 to have the spacing between the first question. Yeah, okay, that feels good. And then we probably want some space between each of the questions. So let's try MB8 here. Okay, now we'll have like each question should be able to pop out a little bit from that. And is that what I wrote? Hold on. Yeah, who makes this? Who makes JourneyInbox? Okay. When we should be able to click this and go straight at the About page. Oh, we don't. Okay. So internal navigation, I don't want to have a blank target. I want to be like, all right, you want to go to that page? That's fine. Go to that page. So let's get rid of that. When I link to something else, and I don't feel like it's a shady thing to do. I feel like you're intending to stay inside of JourneyInbox when you click some links that are about this app and staying in this service, so it keeps you in there. But if you're going to click something that's going to take you away, that's just like extra information, target blank is a good way to like make it so that people don't inadvertently leave your site. And that might help with a little bit of retention stuff too. So if you're clicking some stuff and you're trying to figure out, do I want to sign up for this service? If you can keep people on for a little bit, and it kind of walks that line of like, I don't want to be shady about it, but I also want to encourage people to stay long enough to actually give it a try, because there's no payment required. I'm not like taking people's money right up front. In fact, I'm offering them a free service for a couple of weeks so that they can really try out the experience, which if you're in the chat, you're welcome to do. There should be plenty of spots for people to sign up right now. But when you're browsing and trying to learn about stuff, I want to try and keep you in a little bit if I can. So, whoops, I didn't actually refresh the page, I guess. So let's refresh here. This should take you to the About page. All right, you're exploring somewhere else. That's fine. So then people can feel like that's normal to go from one to the other. Okay, so now we want to actually add the real question that we wanted to answer here of how do I take my journal out of JourneyInbox? I'm going to go ahead. I think this will be a 1-paragraph answer, so I'm going to put an MB8 there in anticipation of stuff in the future, and we'll delete those 2 tags. So now we're left with a couple of things right there. I'm still repeating stuff about myself, so we gotta change that up. So while we're sad to see you go, no. So while I'm sad, sure, I'd be sad if people are not finding the service valuable. While I'm sad to see you go, I believe that your data belongs to you. Because of that, and this will be for the like not authenticated version. JourneyInbox has an export feature that lets you take your journal data at any time. Because I'm really going for give somebody the confidence that they're not like locking themselves away to use JourneyInbox forever. Like that's not my goal. Okay, so here is our version for someone who is. This is the version I want to use for someone who's not logged in, because yeah, that's just how I view it. If you are logged in, then I want to give you a slightly better experience where I can link straight to the export feature. Because there's no reason to say, all right, go to the settings page and like here's how to get there. Instead, just give them the tool to get there or to get the feature out. So we'll say if user is authenticated. That's what we really want. And that'll be the other path. And so this will be our else path will show this thing that we just did. Whoops. So yank around the tag and we'll put it, come on. Yank around tag, put it there. Okay. So right now this will show the same thing because we've got exactly the same for both the if and the else. But we can also go to, this will be our ability to check out the logged out version, the unauthenticated version. Okay, and so now we want to say here, we'll just instead link to the export feature. So we'll say URL, and it's called export entries. Nope, but this needs to be a hyperlink. So right. I don't want to just put the path, that'd be dumb. But this is the content we want it to say. Let's take the link from up here because we want those class attributes. We'll paste it here. We'll say export entries. That's the thing we want to access. We want to write export feature right here, and we want to delete that paragraph, the period at the end. Okay, I think that's what we want. So this is the unauthenticated page. Nothing changed on that page. No surprise. But if we go back to the authenticated page and refresh, now we see we got the export feature, which is just, it's a very simple link. It's /export, so somebody could know that, but many people won't. So, in fact, most people won't. Fonda Chimanko, welcome. Glad you're here. That's a fun user handle. So now we've got an FAQ that is a bit dynamic based off of who you are, logged in, logged out. And I think this will be a good pattern that we can apply to the future. I'm trying to think of other frequently asked questions that I want to put on here, but like if it's just 2, it's not super exciting, but maybe that's okay. It's a start. I don't need to fill it up just because I want to make up questions. I really want to anticipate what's truly needed and the questions I do actually hear. So this is probably okay. I'm okay going only this far. All right, we need to wrap this up, we need at least one more thing. And again, that's going to our test views. And we'll do another test here, yank around the class, and we'll put a second one here. And we'll say test FAQ. This will technically work for both unauthenticated and authenticated. And maybe if I was trying to use this more as a descriptor of what could happen, that we would test both. I don't really feel the need to. I suppose there's logic that I could assert that, if this is the authenticated view, do I see the export link text? I just don't care. Like, there's a certain level of, from my perspective, testing is valuable, but it can be costly. And while I want to make sure that every line gets run in this Python project so that I don't have anything just kind of blow up my face, I don't feel the need to test every little bit of UI and functionality down to a programmatic level. Like, as you can see, like, we definitely tested this before I'm committing this. I'm playing with the feature, I'm checking the links and making sure that it looks okay. So we're doing a manual test process as we're building this, and that's probably sufficient. And then we've got an automated test process to make sure that the view remains accessible and that the link works and that no links are broken. Because you can think about this. What if I change this in the future such that I change this to be export all entries or something, some kind of silly change like that. And in that case, the FAQ page would blow up. And that's why I need the automated test, not to test is that link text present. So now, that viewpoint is not shared by everyone. People have different views on how much should be tested. Some people are a lot more diligent, I'll say, about what they want to test. And so they might take a stance of, no, you should test that. But that's my stance. So I'm a bit more pragmatic in my view on it. All right, so let's take a look at the change set. What we've got a new test, just one test, the test that it works. We've got the view itself, which has very little in it. We've hooked it up to the URLs file. We've got the new link to it that goes in the footer. And then we've got the content of the page itself, which I've made personalized. I'm kind of leaning into the fact that this is a site that I'm building, not just some guy, or not just some company out there. So this allows me, by leading off with that first question of who makes this and using a personal point perspective, it allows future questions to be more of like a dialogue format where I'm responding to your question as a site viewer directly, rather than kind of having a more standoffish tone in the text. All right, let's make sure that the tests actually work. And okay, cool. So we've got still have 100% coverage. That's good. We've got that set there. Let's go ahead and commit it. And we'll say add FAQ page, and this fixes number, what number was it? 154. All right, so I think we have time for some progress on the next page, which I've marked as this authenticated homepage, but I do want to pause briefly and make sure that I selected that last week, and I just want to check. About what's in here. I got my import to work, and we actually did this on stream last week, and I forgot I had created this issue. So let's say we fixed this last week. That's done. Nice. There's work to make the import feature available to everyone. Right now it only works for me. I showed on a few streams ago like how much that is to, there's a lot of validation that has to happen to accept random files from people on the internet. And I just don't think that many people are going to have the same kind of import information that I did from a previous service. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it's a lower priority. This is a good one. This does feel like something to round out the experience. So I'm not going to do it right away, but I think we should put that in our like queue of this is an important thing to work on. Right now, so again, the service works by sending you an email prompt. If you sign up and you verify, the problem with the service currently is that you don't get a prompt right away. You actually have to wait until I have a scheduled task that runs every morning. Every morning for me. Don't know where you are in the world, but it runs at roughly like 9 in the morning Eastern time, and sends out the daily prompt. And we have, like John mentioned earlier, we're gonna change that and make that configurable eventually, so that if you're on the other side of the planet and you want to receive it at 9 a.m. your time, we should be able to say, here's the time zone that you're in, and here's the time you want to receive it, localized to you, and then you get a scheduled time. And like I have the tool that sends out the prompts regularly, it will run, instead of running once daily, it'll run on the hour and try and get anybody who's on a different time. But that's a future feature. That's a thing we're going to work on a little bit later, after we kind of flesh out the main aspects of the site. So this prompt immediately thing, what that will do is, rather than waiting for that cycle to complete for the next day, that you want to experience what is it like right now. And this is the opportunity to like show you the hook of, here's what this is going to look like daily. And then the next day you'll get the second one. So you'll be hit within, in a good way, but within 24 hours with 2 prompts, one for the day that you signed up on, and then one for the next day. Assuming that, yeah, there's probably some funny hour math that if you're like, I sign up before the daily thing by an hour, then what am I getting multiple prompts? But that's kind of an edge case. I could. This will be a quick, easy one too. This is like a quick win to help personalize the thing. So let's do that one. Let's sign up for that one in a moment. The idea behind this one is the privacy page right now is full of legalese, which is necessary to abide by law and what's technically I'm permitted to do. But I want to put a banner at the top that says like, hey, your privacy matters. here's what I think about privacy. Oh, that's probably an FAQ worthy item. Let me jot that down here while I'm here. So also link to an FAQ question about privacy and how I treat people's data. Because it's important to me, it's important to get any kind of traction on the site to be really respectful of privacy. And I want to tell people that up front of not only, yeah, you can read my privacy policy and technically it's going to say I'm allowed legally to like look at your data. But what I want to tell and enforce people is like, I don't want to look at your data. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to share that data. Like, I don't care. That's not my objective. Again, as a reminder, this is like a service I created for myself primarily. And so privacy is important to me, especially with something as personal as a journal. So this is a good chance to gain people's trust as they're clicking. Some people might think they're like, well, I'm going to click through his privacy page. And if I can get their attention early as being like, hey, you're here. You must care about this. Let's show you that I care about this too. So that's why I think we should put it pretty early. All of this should help with like gaining trust with people. That's the objective. This is not really a problem right now. Like there's so many beta signups that I'm just not even concerned about this. In fact, I might even close it out. I don't anticipate there being a lot of people who want to sign up for the service all at once. So I don't think that's necessary. Oh, right. Ryan had said a good idea would be to link to a video to show people rather than write it in text of who I am and what I'm doing. That's still a good idea. That one is something I will have to do not on stream because I can't record a good intro video here and let people know about me while I'm trying to chat with y'all. We've got some other good ones. We probably what do I still have on this? We already did this. Oh, that's the one we're just about to do. My bad. Okay, a couple more things to look at. Right. Okay. I think the other one that we're going to want to get to before it gets too far along and we have too much rework to do is integrating Django denied. It's my authorization mechanism that I use to allow people to use a site versus not. And the more pages I add, the more friction that's going to create on switching to this. So it would be a good one to knock out while it's easier. Okay, so that feels like a good set. Let's bring that back, list that list back of what to do next. And let's focus on this authenticated homepage. We've been looking at that page throughout this process. There's not a ton to it right now. And I even state on that page that there's nothing here. And so this is our chance to make that no longer the case. So what do we want to put here? I think there's a couple of things that need to go here. Let me think for a moment of if I want to, which of these elements, if I want to keep them or remove them. Okay. I think if you are, I think this top section goes. So this section will go. And because you'll have the ability to find out about me and how to contact me on X if you want to on the About page. So I don't need to repeat that section. Also, it gets rid of the messaging of I'm working on a user interface. Well, I'm not working on a user interface. I mean, I am, but I'm not needing to state it because there will be enough of a user interface present here. Okay, so but this section down at the bottom, the activate your account and the status of your account, that does need to be on the authenticated page. So we're going to kill this top section. And what are we going to replace it with? I think that's the real question at hand. So let's take a look at what I have here. I didn't put much. So the minimal thing, not lastest, good grief. Must have typed that in a hurry. The latest. The minimal thing to put on there is, what did you write last? Like, and that kind of proves that we've got your data. Kind of gives a reassurance that the site has the data from your response, and your database is getting updated. Eventually, we will want to allow users to be able to navigate through all of their data. Like there's no reason to limit it to you can only see your latest entry. That's kind of stupid. If your journal should be at your control to navigate through as you see fit. But starting with the latest entry is a good, easy, light way to give you something to look at here. And then from there, we want to figure out some kind of well, hold on. Let me think on this for a minute. One thing we could do. So the nice part about having a single entry is there's a lot of clarity there about like, what am I looking at? I'm looking at my one entry. But we could have it paginate here. So maybe it's we look at your last 10 entries. In that case, let's think through this. If we had pagination, then you paginate 10 entries at a time, and we could show you some previous and next buttons. So it feels almost like a personal blog in that sense. But that'd be a quick. So the nice part about having like the last 10 entries is you get like a week plus, a week plus a few days, right? So you can review your week at a single moment in time and see all that stuff. So I feel pretty good about that. So maybe I'm feeling like take 10 entries if they exist, the 10 latest entries, and show them. Then how do we build from there? So we could start with like, that's what we could build tonight. No question. The question I would want to do beyond that is paginating that. So switching this from an experience that is like those 10 entries to what happens when we go to a previous page. Is that going to be like, is that a numbered pagination? Probably. Like a page 2. Yeah, maybe that feels good. So we'll start with from the that can be the buildup of 10 entries. You get pages at a time. Then we add pagination. Then I think the final element here is I've thought about having like a calendar. Can I show this? I built a calendar in homeschool that in the homeschool context for scheduling, it shows like when does a school year have like days off? When are there certain activities going on? So I've used the calendars tools that Python, like I use the straight up built-in stuff from Python to make a calendar. So I think what would be nice. Oh, John, you think for changing pagination, that could be interesting. HTMX. We should definitely look for ways to add HTMX to make sure the experience feels slick. But my thought is, okay, finish the thought. We add the 10 entries. We add the pagination ability to go between pages, no problem. And then the element I was talking about with a calendar is we could show you, hey, in the last month, here are all of the dates that you actually have entries for, and then you could like click around them, and we could make that calendar navigable to previous months, previous years. I don't know, because there's a challenge here, and I experienced this with the previous service that I used. Is they chose to use pagination. The difference is they did pagination of 1, so you'd see an entry, and then if you wanted to see a previous entry, you could click previous. Okay, that's fine. But there was no method to go to your first entry. There was no method to go to a particular date. All of that was not accessible. So eventually we'll want methods to be able to go to, it would be localhost /entries /2024 05/29, right? That's the current date for me right now. So we want that to work so that you can go to a specific page, and that would enable a calendar to be clickable to go to certain pages and do that kind of stuff. So it would open up the feature set for your ability to browse through your journal pretty easily. So the index page, the main flow will be like, let's let you look at a chunk of recent entries at any point in time, and also give you the navigation tools to go look at a slice of time in the past. So I think that's where we can ultimately go with that. I don't know that we'll do all of that. So let's like scope this one to be just the latest 10 entries, and then we'll make new issues for other things. Let's start by creating a new issue. So add pagination to authenticated index page. So that's one. And then the other one is add navigation calendar to authenticated index page. And perhaps we can find a slick way to do this. For the time being, we're kind of limiting I'm limiting this user interface to sticking with this column. But as I noted at the beginning of this stream, there's no reason for us to have to stick to this column. We have the container is this entire width. So we could reasonably have a lot more kind of Chrome on the dashboard here, where maybe you do see the latest 10 entries over more towards the left side, but perhaps we have a second column where that's where your calendar is, and we have future features on like what are some of those features that we've listed? Think like tags and other ideas that have been, category filtering and that kind of stuff. So we want to give ourselves a flexible landing place to put in more features in the future. But I don't think we have to design that all up front. So let's do this. We'll delete this chunk. Let's get the latest 10 features that we can. We also will need the empty state. I've talked about empty state stuff in the past. So we'll need some kind of message when you don't have any entries to say, we don't have any entries about you yet. So that'll be important. And then, yeah, that feels right. So we should be able to knock out most of that in 20 minutes or so, I think. Yeah. So we'll go to core views. And we might want to split up. When do we want to split this up? Or should we split this up? Because we're talking about adding new functionality in here, but maybe it's not worth doing that right now. Here's our context. Perhaps it's just the presence of any entries will cause it to render that. And it will only be used on the authenticated page. So maybe no matter what, we do a lookup of do you have any entries? Well, we can't, because entries requires knowing the user. So down in this section where we get into the is authenticated, we need to add some context specific things. Okay, so let's go to our entries models. We have an entry manager. And we'll say, we just want to say like latest. Branch. Say more, John. You think I should, are you talking about a Git branch? Or are you talking about doing something? Oh yeah, I guess I could. Sure. Homepage. Okay. And we can do a pull request flow. Sure. Every once in a while, it's good to, I'm doing a lot of like commit straight to master, or not, it's not master, it's commit straight to main in this scenario, but there's no reason to have to do that. So we're on a homepage branch, and I think what I want, let's do a latest. Hey Zephyr, welcome. No one knows on the internet, nobody knows your dog, except if you put it in your name. So if we do this, if we say latest, and we're going to need it for a particular user, so then we want to do the query set. I always get tripped up on how to list this properly. Is it query set? You might know my package rough. I love it. All right, Django DB models. And then I think this is how we annotate this, right? It's been a while since I did a type annotation on a query set. I think that's how it's done though. Okay, so we want to do a query set. Well, first let's put in the doc string. Get the latest entries for user. Shocker, right? And we want to do the query set is equal to, well, let's steal this. This is the right thing to get. So that will get it for the user. And from here, we can do query set is equal to query set dot order by. And then to get the, if you're working from the end, that's like technically like a descending order, right? So we should do a descending order on when, I think. And then we could limit, isn't that limit? Oh, come on. Am I making that up? They're not a limit? Because I don't want to just return a slice. For now, I'm thinking 10, Zephyr. I was explaining when I use this on the home page. And maybe the query set does the query set know slice syntax and is not actually going to return a list and it's still going to return a query set? Perhaps that's what's happening. So, all right, let's do that. So I want to limit to 10. I'm going to hard code this for now. Let's put a comment for why. Or maybe just like a to-do. The count. The limit could be customizable. Good question. Is there like a first, but like a quantifiable, like kind of a first plus thing? That's a really good question. Or does first have that as is there an argument first? That'd be interesting. Or I guess in this case it'd be last. Yeah, it's a good question. Where's the first? Come on, I know it exists. Didn't show up in the table of contents. What the heck? There it is. Okay. First, like does a returns none though if nothing matches, right? But there is a latest. Can latest take a number? Return the latest object. Chunk size. That's an iterator. Last. All right. I think I'm going to go with the order by with the slice. I think it's clear enough. Fetch mini. Was there? I don't know. What was fetch mini? I didn't even see that. Fetch mini. Not letting me click it. Oh, it's an SQLite feature, or it's actually part of SQL, I guess. Fetch mini defined in PEP 249. Is this the DB adapter stuff? Okay, part of the DB API spec, which I'm sure I'm guessing the ORM implements to talk to some of these things. Good question. I learned something new. Okay, so if we do this and we return this thing, then I think we automatically get what we want because we can do a check on the size of that thing. Like if we do, if we have an if check in the template and it's 0, we're just not going to render. And the fact that it's doing a slice of up to, or oh goodness, I'm doing my slice right. Oh, am I not? Yeah. If we order by the negative of when, that means the first thing in the list will be the newest, and then we want up to, but not including 10. Okay, that's the right syntax. For some reason my brain was like, oh, is that backwards? You could probably do, I guess you could do it by the other way and then do a slice on the other side. Would that work? I don't know. Either way, it's kind of curious. So from here, we can take our context and we can append to it to say context entries is equal to entry.objects latest for request user. And this is something that we can come back and test later. Like I don't feel like this is okay hashing it out this way. Oh boo. Why is, come on, I'm doing from future import annotations. Do I need to quote that? That is, can't actually see all your comment there, Zephyr, because YouTube's being stupid with the little heart thing that on the chat. It's blocking my ability. That says :10 because you got like 10 or something. Yeah, so I think the slice boundary will say like get the, order them by the newest date. That's what the negative's doing. So it's a descending order on a date, which means work from the end. So :10 means it functions like a list slice. So the query set would have a 0 index technically. So it'd be 0 through 9. And it's non-inclusive of the last number. So since it's based on 0, that should give you 10 entries. That's how slices work in Python. They don't include the end number. Okay, so this isn't working because it doesn't like this, which I think means we need to quote all this mess like this. Boo. Come on. If I run this, is it just going to blow up an import error? Or is it just... Maybe it's Pyrite that doesn't like that. Julian, can you rephrase your question a little bit? I want to answer you, but secure stream, I don't know what you mean by secure stream as achievable. So I'm not like, I think the answer is going to be yes. Django can encrypt content, like can run over encrypted HTTPS connections. So that's totally doable. So that would be secure. But then I don't know what you mean by secure stream, maybe. John, no, my model's not already, I didn't put a default ordering. Isn't that like a meta thing? Maybe I should. So let's go with this for now. Let's see how it works. And it seemed like it started up. So if we go to the main page, is it going to blow up in our face? Nope. I'm realizing now that we're missing something that will really help us. I have not integrated the Django debug toolbar, which is like a superpower that we're just totally lacking. Zephyr, yes, probably. Like, so what's happening most likely? Okay, why is this happening? I am using from future import annotations, and that should be adding some smarts to how annotations are working. One of those things is the ability to directly reference identifiers which may not be defined yet, including something like a class, like entry. So that's why you can see up here that entry is not complaining up here. But I think because we're using this more specific scenario where we're taking a query set and using the square brackets to type annotate, this is the type of the query set, I think that Pyrite does not understand that syntax, and so Pyrite is complaining. So if I do a diagnostics thing, I need to find out how to make my diagnostics show where they're coming from. But you can, I mean, you saw like the fact that Pyrite didn't know what was right, and it was complaining, but here we are with Python 3.11, that's what's running in my virtual environment here, and the web server started up just fine. So Python's correct, Pyrite's not correct, so this thing is lying to us is basically the view on it. Okay, so getting back to this issue list though, there's definitely the need for debug toolbar, which I did not record. That is a very helpful tool. It will allow us to see query set data. I recall though that it takes more time than I would like to get it going. I certainly can't get it going in 6 minutes, which is kind of how I'm time boxing myself this evening. Maybe go a little bit longer than that, but not too much longer. So we want to say add Django debug toolbar. And the reason is because it is awesome. We're going to fly a little blind today, but that's okay. So in the authenticated context, we're adding entries to that page, and then we have that on the index page. So we should be able to now go to our core index page, and here is where we want to start like slashing some stuff that's here. I think I said let's get rid of all of these paragraphs. We don't need that stuff. in fact, we don't want that stuff because it's a lie, or it will be a lie in the future. So now we're getting to the state, and now we want to render our entries here. What I don't remember is if this account has any entries to see. So let's go to the admin briefly and look at the Matt account, see if there's any entries in here. So we can do a couple of things while we're in that process. So come down to entries. There should be 2. Okay, so let's do if entries. Then we want to do some stuff. We want to loop through them. Otherwise, we want to have a state, an empty state. So to do no entries. Okay. So if we have entries, we want to say for entry in entries, and this is our for loop. Why is it not auto-completing my stuff? That's annoying. It should be like adding my end for, my end if. That stuff's not happening. It's irritating. And for the moment, we'll just say entry.when and let it print out. We'll put it in a paragraph tag so that it all will wrap. It's going to look like garbage, but this is just proving, do we actually have any entries on our page? And we should. We should have an entry from May 23rd and an entry from, July 20th. This is an old test database, apparently. So let's go back over here. Whoops, that's the unauthenticated page. That's not going to be what we want. We want to come over here, and we've got them. All right, cool. Now the question is, did we get the 10 that we expected? So unfortunately, this will be a little slow, but we'll do this. Let's put in some content. I know the user is 1, so let's do that. Content today, 29. User is 1. Sorry, this is going to be a slow process, y'all. Today, 28. That's 3 of them. Day 27, that's 4. All right, let's see. How many? Got 6. So what I want to do is I want to get to 11. Get to 11 and then show that it's not showing 11. So it should show 10 if we get to 11. So we need to add 5 more entries. So 27 is what date we're on. So we'll do one for 26. $25. 3 more entries. 24. Now we already had one for 23, right? Yeah, from last week. Let's move to 22. But I've lost count. Okay. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10. So if we add one more for the 21 entry, July 20 should fall off the bottom. Cool. We've got our 10 entries. There they are. So what we're going to do is turn the date, like that date format looks fine to me. I don't feel any need to change that. Let's make a header out of it. And then we can put the body in. Wow, shoot. Yeah, we'll play with some stuff. All right, Julie, let me look at your question here. You want to make a video stream. Oh, okay. That for your project course, that's cool. And so, if you're wanting to do it on YouTube, and I'll preface what I'm about to say with all the law. There is a utility called YTDLP, which can download videos from YouTube. So like if you did a stream, you could come back through with YTDLP and download it. Now, that being said, it may not be the high quality. So I'm not sure what you want to do with the content once you have it. So I don't know that I can help you there. There's a couple strategies with streaming. I don't want to get too deep into this because I'm trying to wrap up this other feature, but some people will use a software like OBS and then like stream and then configure it to record on the side, like, and have like they have both. I think they have both the recording and what they do live to Twitch or YouTube or whatever, any of those places, Rumble, whatever. And in that mode, that allows them to then take the raw video file and chop it up and make clips and put stuff on YouTube. I tried experimenting with clips and saw such little traction. It's like, this is not worth my time. But so you can do that. For me, I'm very much utilitarian of like, I take the stream, I publish it after I'm done. I never need to download it. So I'm not really sure what you want to do with your videos, but that's about as much as I can guide you there. All right, let's wrap this up with where we are. So we've got confidence that our entry object's latest works. It returns 10 entries. We're seeing something here. We know that we want to have some kind of like formatting here. I usually reserve an H1 to be like the single header for the page. So if there's going to be multiple of them, I move that down to H2. There's nothing that says you have to do that. That's just what I'm choosing to do. I know that we also have some H2 styles other places on the site. So we're using text large with a margin on the vertical of 4. So let's replicate some of that. So we can take our text, we'll call it large. We'll do MY4, and now we'll get a little closer to having some styles for that section. So that gives us some space here. The other thing we want to do, or we can do, I should say, is this stuff is only gonna, this trialing and expired is only gonna appear when it's in one of those two states, but I want to be able to push this down so that there's more space between this thing that we've got at the top and the actual entries. Instead of putting it on the button though, I want to think about this a little differently. Instead, what I want to do is put a div that wraps this content, because in the future, we may choose to style that little section in a different fashion. And if I do this, oh, come on. Something is not playing well with my formatting tools here. It's disappointing. So now what I can do is it gives me a hook that I can add some, like an MB8, that will give us some separation between that activate your account button and these entries themselves. I didn't like how much that was, so let's try 12. Okay, so now we've got some separation. We need to have the content. So here's where we can do paragraph and then do entry dot body. Okay, so this won't be great. And there's a reason for that. Like, some of it will be fine. So, okay, we can see the one that we've added. The challenge will come when we want to take one of these entries. Let's go back to our entries and see something. Let's modify this random one in the middle. The difference is I want to put in, I want to add some extra blank lines, and you'll see the problem very quickly. Houston, we have a problem. Okay. So when we come back over here, you can see that the new lines were not preserved. All right. There is a way to handle this though. So if we go to the Django docs and go all the way to the top and go to the built-in template tags. So template tags, I should be able to search for that. And one of these will have a filter. So there's tags and there's filters. So I think what we're looking for is a filter. And the filter is essentially about converting new lines into break tags. And frankly, I'm drawing a blank on what it's called. It's really obvious once I see it, but line breaks and line breaks BR. I can't remember which one of these it is, and I don't remember the difference. So line breaks in plain text with appropriate HTML. A single new line becomes an HTML break, and a new line followed by a blank line becomes a new paragraph tag. And the BR version converts this to multiple breaks. So let's try these. Could be one of these, but there's a challenge here too that makes this not necessarily play nicely with Tailwind. And the challenge is Tailwind by default strips out the margin stuff around P tags, around all tags really. It like does a reset on the tags and then you add them back yourself. So what we may struggle with here is that we might want to replace these breaks with a paragraph tag or a break tag, but really we need to also include perhaps like some extra margin. Like we might want to have the spacing a little different for that. And we might not get that from this filter. So let's try it, see what we get. And if it looks good, great. We got an easy solution. If not, we'll have to get a bit more creative. So I'm going to try line breaks. It's the first option that was presented, and see what it does. So we've got line breaks, and okay, it's not terrible, but it's kind of tight. And maybe the tightness is okay to start for a first version. Sorry, I inspected the wrong thing. So you can see what it did. The line breaks by itself. When you have, what we did here was we had two blank lines, and it said, I think what the way I was reading the documentation is that if you've got a single followed by another one, that it will turn it into a paragraph break and start a new paragraph tag. So that's what we're seeing in the markup here, is that it turned these two things into two separate paragraph tags. Now, if we just want breaks though, so we could do line breaks BR, and I think instead what it'll do is it'll turn it into two break tags, which may actually give us a better outcome because we don't have control over the spacing. So that's a more literal outcome of we've got a break tag. Inspect. We've got the paragraph tag that's wrapping ASDF, and then we have two literal break tags that are between them. So each of those new lines got turned into a break. The challenge with this maybe is that this becomes visually pretty challenging for, I don't know about you, but challenging for me to read. And I think it's because like these things are, the consistency with the spacing is too uniform. So I think what I want to do, I think I want to keep the break tag. It feels like a fairly simple solution to our problem. And then I want to change the class here to use, let's try MB8, see what that does. So that forces, and these are not representative examples actually. Let's change some of these. Let's get some, what is it? I know there's lorem ipsum, but lorem ipsum is boring. Lorem ipsum meat. Pigs. There's like other interesting, bacon ipsum, that's what it was. Give me bacon. All right, so I'm going to take some bacon ipsum. And if you've never heard of lorem ipsum, it is a tool that designers will use to put in like fake text that is the whole intent is to produce some amount of content that will fill up a space. So if we do, in fact, let's take John, that might be a really simple and clean way to do that. Do an HR between entries. We can play with some stuff for sure. And then there's a bunch of styling opportunities that right now we're using very basic headers. We don't even color them. Let me see. Let me take off my flux for a minute. It's like just black, which is super functional, but not exactly eye-catching, right? And as we start to move into a design that is pleasing the eye, that's not going to fly very well. All right, so let's add some bacon ipsum to here. We've got bacon ipsum there. And we'll save that one. See what a couple paragraphs looks like. All right, that's cool. Like if you wrote a couple paragraphs, let's try it again with the switch back to breaks. See if it's too tight. Yeah, this feels like that is, to me, it's like claustrophobic. It's just too tight. So I'm going to keep it with the BR version. Like that. And then let's see what an HR looks like. I don't remember what an unstyled HR looks like on this. That's pretty pleasing here. We're good at the weird one where it's at the bottom. So, all right, well, actually, we can fix that. So there's a feature in for loops so that you can access some for loop specific variables. So you can say if, I think it's for loop is like a namespace it's only available when you're inside for loops and Django things. And then it's got like a first, last, whatever. So if it's last, so we really want to say if it's not last, then we want to include the HR. Don't know why my editor is fighting with me on trying to get this spacing right. Come on. Okay. So like this. So now if we do that, yeah, cool. So we don't get that HR on the final iteration through there. And these ones down below look goofy because they just have ASDF. That was just me quickly adding something. But I think this looks okay. Like from a starting point of including, if your goal is to come here and read your journal, then this feels all right. Ways that we could improve it is we can come back through and we can get more opinionated about what headers should look like. Like I think we have some headers somewhere. I thought we had some that had some color. Maybe it's the login page. Nope, even that one doesn't have any color. Or if it does, it's super subtle, too subtle for me to even notice. No color. So there's a what is the user interface elements that we want to look like? Right now we're going for pretty boxy vibe and utilitarian. But I don't know that we want that long term. But this feels like a good place to wrap for the evening. We've got a branch, so thanks for that suggestion, John. What I'm going to do so that people can follow along and so we can see it is I'm going to go ahead and commit this and push this up to this branch. Oh, I still don't have hub. Shoot. So making the PR is going to be a little bit more annoying, but that's okay. So grab the first 10 entries. We also, I guess, observed as we were adding that in, we observed the behavior. If the slice had less, then it's just not going to have those, it's not going to have 10 entries, right? It's going to have 6, I think we saw. So we can have confidence that that will be true. So I want to git push this to the origin. Will this work? I think. But I didn't make it follow. Let's see. That work? All right, cool. So this is where we'll say add authenticated homepage design. And this will be, when it's done, fixes 18. But we're not there yet. So this is going to fail our tests, like because we don't have full coverage, and that's known. That's okay. I'm totally fine with that. So next time, I think calendar. I think I'll be streaming next week. I think we'll pick up where we left off here and add the homepage. Maybe we'll think a little harder about style and think about what do we want some headers to look like. Do we want to be changing buttons now, or is that not necessary? Do we want to go ahead and add pagination? It'll definitely be worth adding Django toolbar, debug toolbar, so that's something that we'll tackle next time. All of those things will happen in the future. Thank you all for joining in. It's been fun. Appreciate the chat and the commentary. That's been good to hear from y'all. If you do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, all of those good things. It helps me and helps people get visibility to this, and so you know when I'm streaming again in the future, it gets you some signal that this is happening. If you want to help me in other ways, like financial ways, you can. I have allowed subscribers on YouTube on stream, so if that's your thing, cool. If that's not your thing, also that's fine. I have one as on Patreon as well, so if you want to support me on Patreon, you're welcome to do so. And then I have on my personal website, which is mattlehman.com, I sell a book, but it's also free. So if you want to learn Django, you can do that right here. This is how you do so. If you like it and you dig it and you want to support me financially because of it, because you thought it was awesome, you can buy a paper copy or get a digital copy that's available through Amazon. I think that's all I really have to say. Thank you for joining in, and I will catch you next time. Take care.